Welcome to another episode of Resortera Wave. Finally, El Tri has a manager, no? After many months of that elimination from Qatar, lots of names were thrown out there. We did several shows of where we proposed names, among them from my end, Tuca, Ferretti, and Ambris were probably two of the names that really, um, were intriguing for me because of their track record. Um, Here in this podcast, we really didn't consider Pio Herrera to be a serious candidate, and by the looks of it, then it was a two-horse race between Coca and Almada. Almada was probably your main pick, Oscar, from the start. Uh, I think Coca wasn't. Well, Coca in general wasn't like on top of my list or on top of many people's list. I think he came out of nowhere. He signed a nice contract with Tigres at the beginning of the year. Uh, Let it be known that Tigres did everything in their power to sort of please his ideas. They took out Toban from the squad. They brought in Ibanez. They brought in Lainez. Um, so it was looking like Coca was building something special in Tigres. But the national team came calling in, and they picked them up for this 2026 proceso. Um, in this podcast we won't talk about, because there's been a
The
lot.
politics of it.
I think we've said enough. So now let's just focus on the tactics, just focus on the reality of things, of what Coca will bring to the table, what could potentially happen with him on the helm. So yeah, Oscar, I think that's gonna be the main deal today.
No, yeah, Nayib, it's good. We had a little break there. We had to digest the decision, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Our WhatsApp messages will defend that, but it's I mean, honestly, I can't really say I'm like I said. The only way I was gonna get really excited and invested with the national team, like how I was in my youth days, was if we got Bielsa. We didn't
Yeah.
get that, so I'm back on the. It's a club over country at this point, but even at this rate, it's not looking good either.
Well, it looks pretty even for you, to be honest, because with Potro Gutierrez out as manager, and it's looking like Hugo Sanchez has a nice lead on becoming the Cruz Azul manager. Finally, the man, after many times saying, I want to be a manager, he might get a shot with Cruz Azul. Um, but we'll see how that goes. I mean, I think also Tuca is out in the names Mohamed, well, who was also thrown into the back of the Mexico manager. He might get a chance over there with Cruz Azul. But the decision with Coca, I think the term that has been used a lot is defensive. No, that his Atlas side was very,
Not attractive.
yeah, more defensive minded. I think I've heard that term a lot. Um, that his style worked with a specific kind of footballer, and that's why the name of Furch and Quiñones have been thrown to the been thrown out there as possibilities that they will integrate the Mexican national team come the summer, with the Nations League and the Gold Cup. And, but yeah, one of the things, Oscar, that we can do right now. So I got this thing here up. The features. I didn't pink because of Valentine's Day.
There we go.
No, no, I kind of try to emulate a little bit the second jersey, the jersey that we didn't see in the World
Oh,
Cup.
you're right. Yes, that's good
Yeah,
too.
so
There
it's a
we go.
little bit like that. I think we're gonna see it a lot in the summer. I mean, come on, man, that's one of the most beautiful jerseys that Adidas has produced, and to not see it on the field will be a bit of a downer. Um, and so I personally here I see a backline of three with Coca and Oscar.
I mean, one of the first things we mentioned, like after talking the politics of how everything went down, was I hope if he takes Edson out of the defensive mid role, I'm already all right. This guy, let's see what he's up to. I give
Yeah,
him a chance and put him in the center. Cesar Montes on the right, and you suggested Johan Vasquez. I'm not the biggest fan of his still. I prefer other people over him, but either way, it's still a setup that I think that could suit the national team right now of what we have and what we have to offer.
yeah. So we got Johan here, um, Montes here, or Edson. You think so? It would be Edson on the right.
No, I put actually no, yeah, I put what como se dice Edson in the as the sweeper, right?
Okay, yeah, so sweeper. I can I know. So right there, and this would be Montes. So this is kind of the idea, the three center backs, no, and the mobility here. Like you said, I think if there's someone that could potentially take Johan out of the starting role, it could be Angulo from Tigres because he worked closely with Coca. So
Mm-hmm.
that's an advantage that he will have, I think. And the wing backs would be this is where it gets interesting because I don't know. I think it would be up in the air. I
It's
think
anyone's game, yeah. It's
yeah,
anyone's game at that point.
yeah. I think Gallardo because of his World Cup experience will start probably the first game.
And being
Um,
the only lefty Mexican in Mexican football at the moment
yeah,
too, by default too. But fair play to him.
and then on the right he's probably gonna go with Kevin maybe. Um, I suppose, or I think it's Kevin Sanchez or what's his name,
Arteaga,
Araujo.
you don't put maybe with Gallardo or no? He just doesn't. You don't see him in this Coca style. But he might even have still Luis Reyes too, because he's still kind of young and he was
Yeah,
one of
I
his
think I
staples.
think here I think these are gonna be the Gallardo, Arteaga, Kevin, Jorge
Julian, we still
Sanchez,
have
and
Julian there
Araujo,
too.
Julian Araujo. This is Julian Araujo right here.
Mm-hmm.
And then the midfield. This is where it gets also tricky because you can go many routes. I mean, in my opinion, a quick one would be the just go with the people from Pachuca, Chiquito and
Guzman también.
Guzman. Yeah. What do you think about that?
I like it. I mean, that's what probably if Almada was in charge, that's the midfield, right?
Yeah. And but con Coca, you think maybe he takes out Chiquito
Yeah, he'd take out Chiquito. Yeah,
and who would he put there?
I mean, just because hierarchy, he's probably gonna put Ache.
Chacha, you think still in?
I think so. I mean, I wouldn't, me personally, but thinking through Coca's lens, I think he would have to pick Ache, right? Who
I
else?
think a lot will have to do how he starts the season with the Dynamo, no?
You
I
think
think
so?
yeah, because I think another one could be this one.
Ponchito,
Ponchito
Ponchito.
de
That would be
Mon-
my three, Nayib. If I had a preference, that's my three.
Do you think this is the Coca one that he might land with as well?
No, but that's what I would want. What Coca would do, I think he would put someone more of a
Because these two lefties.
yeah. So maybe no Ponchito, ¿verdad?
Es como poner, because I think Edson also helps a lot here, no?
Was he playing Córdoba a lot with Tigres?
No, not really. He was on the bench, Cordova.
I was
Because
gonna say maybe him.
another thing could happen here is, which is put Orbelin deeper, sort of
Yeah,
like how Almeida had him in Chivas,
yeah, yeah.
and then Guzman would be the most advanced one. And the two forwards, I think
Kind of
Santi
seems
is one.
Santi. Yeah. I mean, I told
And
you, Chucky too, right? In theory, you just can't. Like you said, in this system, it might not work, but he's just too good in our pool to like not play.
not used, ¿verdad?
Mm-hmm.
But I think if Quiñones gets naturalizado,
Oh, obviously, I think Santi drops and Chucky and him.
no, yeah, it would be Santi and Quiñones up top.
Oh, I'm saying Chucky and Quinones actually.
You don't think Santi and Quiñones can work together?
No, I mean they
Why?
can, pero Chucky, I'm at Chucky and him up top. I think why wouldn't you want to have him, both of those guys? Because Quinones could play he could play Santi's role, or vice
Yeah,
versa.
yeah.
Chucky can play that role. I think that I don't know. It's a tough one.
Yeah,
Either way, I'm
I
happy
like
with both.
Santi's form. I think Santi's form allows him to be a starter.
Let's go with Santi. Yeah, I'm not complaining. I mean, this is a good problem to have.
Yeah. So I mean, that's kind of what I'm looking at right now. With and the goalkeeper. I didn't even put the goalkeeper. I think it's gonna be Ochoa still.
Same thing with that Chester situation. I mean, we just saw that he got benched. Was it yesterday or the day before?
Yeah.
Do you think he'll try to already push the
Acevedo.
transition of the new keeper? Yeah, whoever that might be. Even though it's not, he's probably the only one with a proper shout because Hugo Gonzalez Necaxa, I've never really liked him. The Chivas tampoco, I never really liked. Jurado is definitely, unfortunately, not the.
Yeah, so I think too, especially with these the games coming up in the summer. I think
Oh, then
Ochoa
yeah,
will still
Ochoa.
will
Yeah,
still
it'd be
um
interesting though how what he does there.
you know, if Chicharito plays, would it be Santi and Chicharito or Quiñones and Chicharito?
It's a tough one. Based on what I've seen from Cocca, he's gonna need someone with in the transition where they have that pace too. También. So Santi and Chicharo can't go together. So it's gonna have to be Quinones and Chicharo.
Yeah.
Or then they're gonna have a guy either with the you're gonna want to have a guy who's gonna hold up the ball well, physical like Santi, and you're gonna have someone with pace,
Like
with
Quiñones.
skill, Quinones or Chucky.
Quiñones
Those
and
would be.
Chucky.
But you just can't have them. I mean, I would have Quinones and Chucky together, but who knows?
Cause
Raul, you write off Raul completely, Naive?
I don't see the good level for Raul, to be honest. Raul would be a bench right now. I mean, I don't see him as a starting caliber player. Especially if you want to go, add a little bit of more like renewity to the team, no? Because if I don't think Coca will go with a 4-3-3, or what do you think?
I think it's the original formation you had. I hope it's that way.
Yeah,
That's what he did with both of
with
his
this
teams on
Atlas,
that
yeah,
one. So that's that way I'm thinking. But
yeah, because
who really
you
knows?
know, because this could be a front three, no? Santi, Quiñones, and Chucky. Um, and then Edson again as a defensive midfielder, but I'm not completely sure about that. I'm not sold totally on this.
Question on there then. First of all, we didn't even put in Guardado, and he's still in good form in Europe.
Yeah,
Who do you put besides Edson in that holding role? Chiquito? Because when I bring it up to some people too, they're like, "Why are you going to put him in there? He's too young." Um, you want to do at the national team level, it's a different level. He's not going to be able to boss the midfield the way he does it in Pachuca with even with his supporting cast.
yeah. Yes, because there's not a complete player right now at the defensive midfielder that you can say just slot him in there, no? Um, because Ponchito from Rayados is not a holding. He's more like Guzman a little bit, no?
Luis Romo from Monterrey, he's doing good. I mean, I just don't see him as a national team
Yeah,
player, but if he's, I don't know. It's we talked about it before. We have Mexican players who can do it in the Liga MX, but once you go to the national team, it's a weird transition where you can't translate that either.
yeah.
I don't know. The midfield is going to be the most interesting one because, like I mean, we mentioned before already. Edson at the elite level, I just don't think he can play in that holding role. You know what I mean? In the CONCACAF tournaments, we can do it, but and that's what we need to
I
worry about
wonder.
right
I
now.
wonder if they play with like a back line of three like this. If, for example, someone like Guti can play on the left. You know what I
And
mean?
and be like the inverted, uh,
Yeah,
go in
because
the
he can
middle.
move in. Yeah,
You do that. You have him play left back. You luego Edson y él en contención así, right?
yeah.
And then what would the back line be then? If they shift it, it'd be Johan Montes and
No, espérate,
Kevin.
porque a Edson no
Kevin.
dejamos, ¿no? Because what this is potentially also another one is Montes and Edson as the center back pairing, and then Guti and maybe Chavez here together. Orbelino on one side, Guzman on the other. Something like this, no? Like a 4-4-2.
Yeah, I mean these are all great options. But like we mentioned, I just feel like he's gonna probably stick to what he did at Atlas to an extent, right? Even in Tigres, right? He's doing
Yeah. No, pero
so.
fíjate como que en Tigres todavía, como que sí se ve a little bit of the 4-4-2.
Yeah,
I mean, the games that he coached.
yeah, and then also he has way more attacking power in Tigres than he was with Atlas too. So it's different.
Yeah.
But
No, we'll find
yeah,
out. We'll find out. I think, like you said, I think there is reason to be intrigued because at the end of the day, he won recently, no? And will he change his style? I don't know really if he'll change his style. If the players will have chemistry with him, I think that's another thing that we have to check. I think the first games are going to be indicators of, if he really, really understands the team and what the demands are, and finding that right mixture of the experience and the youth, no? Or if he's
yeah,
just gonna go all out and use all the way, no, as much as he can,
yeah,
to reduce the age of the team, because it was evident that in the World Cup it was one of the oldest teams. So
hmm
I think one of the main jobs of Coca is to reduce that age, no, so that when the 2026 World Cup comes around, the team will maybe be around the 24, 25 average age.
hmm A couple points I had Nayib here for the regarding his tactical style in a sense. Um, One thing for sure, I think we could both agree on. He definitely is already drastically different from Tata, where I think you mentioned Tata's a little bit more old school in a sense, like you saw with he stuck with his players, or whatever, no matter the circumstance. I don't think Coca does that in a sense, like a Ponchito would come into this team now, especially the form he's in. Um, Also, I also feel like something that we always talk about. We always go back and forth in our WhatsApp conversations. You say Mexico is not a team where we're not gonna be like a Spain. We're not gonna be a Brazil. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
play with what you have and get the best out of that. And people were they said they were a lot of complaint that we both had, me and you both had, and even the social medias and the media is basically kind of like he's too defensive. His too much defensive style. But if that's what our style of players have and that suits it best, then that's what we have to play, right? And that might be what's
Yeah,
going to be the
I
most
think we
successful. And
have to
that's the
sort of.
modern game nowadays too. We saw the World Cup. We saw the World Cup. One of the stats that was prevalent was the team that had won had less possession in the game.
Yeah. So it's not because we got the you can be too rigorous about the perception that you have of the game. One of the things I've learned through the years, especially I would say in the last 10 years, as both a journalist, observer, fan, um, of course, there's styles that are going to enamor you. There's beautiful football, and I understand that. But you also have to look at the quality of the footballer. When we think about Barcelona and the pinnacle of what they did with Guardiola, I think we have to understand the quality of the footballer. It was literally every single one of them. The 11 players were at some level that is just unimaginable. And not only that is that idea that many of them, the Xavi, the Iniesta, Messi, Piqué, came from a school, from that school of la posesión and the position on the field from a young age, which is something that is not common whatsoever. And
Especially
I
in
think,
Mexico.
especially in Mexico, I think when we look at Mexico and we look at their biggest wins, the one that I really love going back to, especially because it's so fresh, is the Gold Cup win against Brazil. No, that was quote unquote defensive. No, it was counterattacking oriented. It was well positioned. your
Even
center
one even
backs.
more recent, the Germany game.
The Germany game also with what we have, because I think how do you cómo compensas in Spanish is cómo compensas the fact that you don't have a Messi. Well, lo compensas having a unit, with a team that actually knows what they're playing. Because the big accident in the World Cup against Argentina, and it's funny that Messi goes out to say that it was the toughest game that they had in the World Cup, but when we looked at it, it was awful and too defensive. But that's something that you have to control. You know, que nota noten. Sometimes I think part of the game is knowing that you keep the zero. You know, is for example today the Bayern Munich and the PSG game. I mean, I didn't see it in detail. I won't say, but I think Bayern went into that game. Let's keep the zero. Especially with how they started the back line with Upamecano, De Ligt, and Pavard. Pavard was expulsado because of two yellows, and it's normal. I mean, you're playing against Neymar, Mbappe, Messi. You gotta find ways to stop them with a tackle. Make the right tackle. Um, and I think Nagelsmann in that game understood that notion and tried to sort of keep the zero, no, and they won the game, but the idea for the first one was to keep the zero and then find the spaces. The goal was stupendous. It came from a nice cross from Davies to Coman, end to end. It just went over the center back. So that those sort of plays win games. And Mexico, I'm not going to say that Mexico can do that perfectly, but Mexico has talent that can
To
emulate.
execute that game plan.
Yeah, yeah. But that's what I
Exactly. No.
think.
Yeah, that's one thing that you really brought up because I always, believe it or not, I was like, no, we can play beautiful.
Yeah,
We can do this, we can do that, but we can do it, but we won't win. That's the thing. And one of my notes here was like, what's the point of playing beautiful every time, but we're losing we can't beat Argentina. Imagínate, we play feo, but 4 to 5 times we beat Argentina in the round of 16.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that just an example.
Yeah, and I think it's understanding our essence also as footballers. I don't know if Coca understands it, to be honest, as well, because I know you sent me the picture from ESPN of more minutes to extranjeros and his success, and if you see his Atlas, the backbone was extranjero, no, Nervo, Santa María, Quiñones, Furch, el portero, Camilo Vargas. It's a nice backbone to have, and it's extranjero. And I think he coming into the Mexican national team is you don't have that. You have to work with what you have. And fortunately, I think for Coca's, you know, how can you say advantage maybe. I think Edson is playing well. How do you make Edson more responsible in the field? Because I think with Tata, he was just left to die pretty easily. It was sort of like, okay, go out there and play defensive mid, sole defensive mid like Busquets, but he never got really that support, and it was clear that he needed support. So how do you do that? And then I think Montes is someone really, really special to have right now. Strong in the defense, a good presence, and then the work. I think Chucky wasn't good in the last 4 years. And Chucky was sort of up and down, not so determinant. How do you make him more determinant? How do you find those spaces? Is he a good player with Santi Jimenez? It's something that we don't know. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. And then that's where he can start integrating the naturalizados, which I think will come into the picture. And we'll see how that works.
No. Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, I think you summed it up perfectly there. And then the other point I had was Argentina just won the World Cup, right? In a sense, to defend the people that picked them, they picked an Argentine coach who knows Liga MX, comes from the school of Argentina. Like, they win World Cups. You know what I mean? It's pretty evident. You know what I mean? So to have that, not necessarily he's gonna win a World Cup for Mexico, but that like history, because you have a coach who comes from a country that knows how to win World Cups. You know what I mean?
No, and
So
I think his success with Racing, the
that too.
Avellaneda, It's noteworthy because at the end of the day, as we see how the league has been dominated by River Plate with Gallardo. Gallardo's gone now, but they brought in Di Michelis. Um, that I think it's a big feat that what he did with Racing. Maybe his story with Cholos wasn't so good. Maybe his story with Santos wasn't that good. But I my bad. It's because I had to take a break there with all the talking I'm done. But I think with Atlas, it was special. The bicampeonato, and like I said, his start with Tigres was pretty good. I think his start with Tigres showcased a little bit. Ibanez could also play for El Tri,
You
and
can?
how does he can he at one point he can be a naturalizado and be an option. So that I think the forward position will include a lot of naturalizados because that's what you have right now. You have Quiñones, you have Furch, you have Ibanez, you have Funes Mori still, especially in this summer. La baraja es grande, no? There's a lot of options. It's not just Raúl and Chicharito now. There's a lot of other naturalizados, porque es lo que hay, no? That's what we have. It's not like we're doing it on force, no? It's what there is in the market, no? Um, but I think we'll find out really what his idea is, especially with the first call up, and I think that will come up in the next weeks.
No, yeah, definitely. And I mean, but just a side question aside, did it worry you at all? I mean, one of the episodes actually we talked was like how Mexican football needs a Mexican manager in a sense, where we're gonna have to at one point establish like our what is Mexican football in a sense.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And the recent departing of Potro Gutierrez with Cruz Azul is a perfect example where like they'll get the opportunity, maybe not have the fair time, pero también also Potro didn't have the experience as well. He didn't have the resume to even get that job in the first place. Let's, if I'm
Yeah,
being
yeah.
quite honest. And I showed you another video of the former Chivas manager. That's been memed now, pero I think there's something that it's something that's there, but we're just not doing the actions to it. We're like Potro should have gone abroad, and even if it's second division in Spain, in South America or something, to get that first division experience. Where it's starting to become a real issue with the coaches, and then eventually it's gonna go down to it's still gonna keep going down this snowball effect where like we're just never it kind of seems we're never gonna be able to get an
Yeah,
identity.
no, fíjate, y eso that goes a little bit in hand with the selection of this manager, no, it's sort of like los sistemas, no, how the system is, and quiénes son tus padrinos, who supports you, and I think the same goes with the Mexican manager. It's sort of like you see that Piojo waited till the final day to see if he's managing right away. He goes back to Cholos, a team he already coached, so he knows the owners, he knows the area, and that's the conformismo that has always persisted in Mexico. Why didn't Piojo waited it out and tried something abroad? No, he went right away where the money's at. The money's at Grupo Caliente with Cholos. And I understand that part as well. I mean, of course, you want to cash as much as possible while you can. But I think that's sort of the per. It's a whole different topic, no. And the thing is, the production of the Mexican manager from the youth to the first teams is not good. It's very low par compared to Uruguay, Argentina, Brazil, no, and I think it's culturally and also systematically, that it's just hard to find those. I mean, right now in Santos with Orlegui, a lot of criticism has been thrown to Orlegui in the last weeks, well, because of how this whole thing went about, but they got Fentanes as a manager in Santos, and they've given him time already. It's not been a 6-month thing. So credit to them, and and with Atlas they got this Benjamin Mora. So it's give him a shot, see what happens.
He was the one
Um,
from Thailand, right?
Malaysia,
Malaysia, sorry.
Malaysia, he had succeeded a lot. Um, and look, even when you see, for example, Rafa Puente with Pumas, the game recently, the Pumas Tigres from this weekend, they gave him a challenge. It wasn't an easy game for Tigres. No, the score maybe suggests that it was easy, but when you looked at the game, Pumas created enough opportunities to take at least a draw from Volcan. So, but and Rafa Puente has been everywhere now, no, but he doesn't seem to take that next level, no, for some reason. But he's been there picando piedra. Maybe
I
he
think he
needs to
just
go
has,
somewhere
for
else.
me, I really like Rafa Puente solamente. I just think he has too much ideas in his head. He wants to do so much all at once. He just needs to
Yeah,
pick one thing. But I think he has everything right there. I take him a Cruz Azul right now, to be honest.
yeah, no, te
Pay
digo,
his release clause.
son cosas así. Is Jimmy Lozano? We'll see if Jimmy maybe goes
I
to
take
Cruz.
him over Hugo.
So I think it's a process, um, and hopefully there's more. Like I said, it's a system as well, because when you look at it right now, I do think Nacho Ambriz should have been the coach, but it didn't happen. No, so it is what it is, and it's Coca, and see how he does in the next. Well, how he does in March, and then take it from there in the Nations League and the Gold Cup.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we'll see. I mean, like you said, it's kind of amazing we don't have our famous Partido Molero set up for him, even in like some at the end of February or something, at least for him to get started on. Pero I'm watching the under 17s qualifying Nayib too. So it's always nice watching those and see the next group of kids who can
Yeah,
maybe replicate some sense. Even if we can get another Gio Vela out of those kids, it's always nice.
yeah. No, so I mean, we'll see how that one goes as well. Thank you for the time, Oscar, and we'll keep chatting. Thank you, everyone, for watching Resortera Wave, and we'll keep these episodes coming. Thanks.
Thanks.